So I see you actually shout out my dissertation, which made me so happy. So thank you. But yes, you posed like a really good question. It's just like all the antecedent procedures we can implement, but what happens when the expectation still isn't met? And I think that was the biggest goal of um, my research study. So obviously the antecedent procedures we discussed was response effort modification or prompting or visuals or goal setting and task analysis. So, within the field of ABA, we do a lot of implementing antecedent procedures and then reinforcing, good behaviors. But what happens when the challenging or non-preferred behavior occurs, especially in the workplace? So a good example is, at my main job, where I'm a clinical director, we have a lot of very strict procedures when it comes to policy reviews or performance improvement plans or, you know, written warnings or verbal warnings or whatever that may look like. So when the antecedent procedures are not working, we can follow through with those consequence procedures. But I have a part-time position as just, a BCBA. And with my part-time, there's really no consequences for not meeting goals or expectations. So if an RBT is late consistently or a parent is consistently, well, we're not going to talk about parents because it's not within an organization, but if an RBT is late consistently or not billing correctly or not professional, right? There's really no corrective action plan that they implement. I think it's because the turnover is so high. They're trying to keep RBTs at all costs, right? And we already know the ramifications of that, so we don't even have to get into that. So they implement, reinforcement procedures. So if you attend all of your sessions, you get a bonus every 2 weeks, right? A $50 bonus if you have a perfect attendance, or if you do this, you get, it's usually a monetary reward, which is great, right? But what happens when they are still canceling? What happens when they aren't meeting those expectations? So I see a stark difference in the RBTs at my main job, where we have these expectations in place. Like, yes, we want to reinforce good behavior, but at the end of the day, like, it's your job, right? Like, it's your job to show up. You're not coming to do this for free. You're getting paid to do your job. Versus at the part-time, when there's all these positive reinforcement systems in place, but no really punishment procedures in place, or consequences for not meeting expectations, the RBTs kind of feel like, oh well, they need me so I can kind of do whatever I want. And there's a very big culture difference when we don't have these procedures in place. So my research study, I really wanted to focus on what to do when these antecedents don't work, right? Like, disciplinary action is something that a lot of people avoid, especially leaders or different organizations, but it's necessary in any organization. And the more comfortable we become with it, the more we're able to address these discrepancies in the workplace. And this is how we get RBTs to start adhering to attendance policies and showing up on time and dressing appropriately and taking data collection correctly when we've exhausted all of those antecedent procedures, right? Or even like positive reinforcement procedures that are great to an extent, but we need these disciplinary procedures as well. So for my mock assignment, I did the one where the employee is constantly getting upset with performance feedback in a candle making factory. So I didn't really focus too much on like them being upset. I focused more on a problem and a potential solution. So I just kind of made up my own problem. I'm assuming that they are not completing the candle making process in a timely manner. So they keep getting feedback that they are not meeting the time expectation. So they're getting frustrated for that. So for this study, the dependent variable would be on time completion of the candle making. So I guess let's say each candle needs to be made within a 5-minute period. I don't know how long it takes to make a candle, but say 5 minutes is expectation, 5 minutes or less. Let's say during baseline, this person is, well, it's a single case. So yeah, let's say the average is 8 or 9 minutes and you're trying to get it to 5 minutes or less is the baseline. So the measure will be duration. We're tracking duration of each completion of each candle. And the independent variable will be an antecedent procedure, which is going to be a visual chart on each step of the candle making process and the times in which each step should take. So boiling the oil or pouring it in or putting the wick in, or that wait time for it to dry, and whatever the case is. So visual chart. We're going to be doing a reversal design. So initially we will not have the charts, and we'll measure that duration. We'll implement the charts, measure that duration, and then we'll reverse to an A/B design, and then see if that changes. There's a functional relationship between the visual chart and the reduction of duration across phases. One of the cons of this design is that I think off the top of my head is carryover effects. I think that's wrong, but basically, once they kind of see the visual in one phase, even when it's removed, they may still know the visual and know the time expectations. So then the intervention phase and the phase without the intervention may start to look the same because they're remembering the visual even without the visual. So that is one con potentially for this experiment, is that you can't fully remove the visual in their brain if they already have seen it and they know what it is. But I guess if phases are shorter, that can kind of reduce that carryover effect. Bye. So yes, the hypothesis is that with the visual, duration will reduce, and then they'll meet that goal of 5 minutes or less for each candle making process. So yeah.